something that Honda is looking to revive for 2023, with an all-new thoroughly modern Honda CB750 Hornet. Gone is the inline 4-cylinder engine of before, and in its place is a parallel twin-cylinder with a 270-degree crank and a 90.5 horsepower power output that is within spitting distance of the original bike's peak figure. To the purists out there, the move to a parallel twin will already make this bike a failure. To those that were on the launch in Almeria last weekend, it's a step in the right direction that you have to ride before passing comment. The new CB750 will be landing in UK dealers with a sticker price of £6,999. It'll be available in 4 colors: Pearl Glare White, Graphite Black, which both feature a metallic red flame frame and anodized red forks, matte Iridium Gray Metallic, and matte Goldfinch Yellow. It's instantly apparent that the new Hornet's engine takes a leaf from the Africa Twins book, sharing a similar Unicam setup where a single overhead camshaft acts directly on the 4 intake valves and opens the 4 exhaust valves via a set of rockers, to give similar performance to a DOHC design but with fewer components and a more compact layout. Honda's CRF450 or motocross bikes have long adopted a similar setup. Intake air comes from a set of downdraft intakes in an airbox fed by scoops either side of the tank, and patented Vortex Flow Ducts ensure that the air in that airbox is evenly distributed. The air travels past ride-by-wire throttle butterflies via 35.5mm inlet valves into combustion chambers with a compression ratio of 11:1. A 270-degree firing interval makes for a V-twin style power delivery and exhaust note, in line with most of the Hornet's parallel twin rivals, and the spent gases escape through 29mm exhaust valves into a very conventional exhaust system with a catalytic converter under the engine and a single end can on the right-hand side. It's not the most glamorous looking exhaust in a market where many rivals use less obtrusive, belly-mounted systems, but it will lend itself to the old-school tuning option of a slip-on silencer. Glancing at the Hornet spec sheet a few days before the launch test ride in Spain, its bore and stroke figures suggest Honda have designed an engine predisposed to high revs with an overly over-square 87mm bore and 63.5mm of stroke. The CB750's 1.37 bore-stroke ratio is higher than most comparable current production parallel twins, including KTM's 890 Duke and Aprilia's RS660, and they're pretty sporty motors. But Hornet doesn't feel like that. Although its motor definitely gravitates towards the upper end of its rev range, it's redlined at 10,000 RPM. It's not a revvy, peaky engine. The spread of power is well distributed and linear. Acceleration from standstill is snappy and instant, if not as whimsically lively off the button as Yamaha's MT-07, and when the Hornet hits its stride and starts to use its mid-range and top-end power in taller gears, pumping open the throttle delivers a healthy full-bore moan from exhaust and airbox. It almost grows a pair of actual legs. It's no inline 4 and doesn't curdle the blood or blur eyeballs the way its inline 4 namesake would a quarter of a century ago. But the parallel twin is nonetheless turning out a claimed 90 brake horsepower in a light chassis. The new Hornet is not a slow bike. Honda reckon it's got the highest power-to-weight ratio in its class, but only if the class they're talking about excludes the KTM 890 Duke. While 90 horsepower isn't going to blow anyone away in an era of 200 horsepower plus motorcycles, most will agree that it's still more than enough for a fun recipe when combined with a lightweight, compact and affordable bike. That's what Honda's aiming for here, wrapping the engine in a steel diamond frame that weighs only 16.6 kg, helping keep the total wet weight of the Hornet, including fuel, to an impressive 190 kg. The geometry is pretty conventional, with a 25-degree head angle and 99mm of trail. The wheelbase is a moderate 14-20mm, and the result should be handling that strikes a comfortable balance between quick steering and stability. As usual for Honda, we get Showa suspension in the form of 41mm upside-down SFF BP forks, giving 130mm of travel, while the rear monoshock provides the only adjustability in the form of a 5-step preload adjuster. Honda hasn't gone overboard with the wheels and tires. favoring a relatively narrow 160x60 ZR17 rear along with the usual 120x70 ZR17 front.